Good morning. It's Sunday, August 18th. I'm Lisa Evers in the Fox 5 newsroom. Thank you for joining us live on the Fox Local app. Disgraced former Long Island Congressman George Santos is expected to plead guilty to fraud in federal court on Monday. Sources tell Fox 5 he intends to plead guilty to multiple charges in order to avoid a federal trial. Santos himself tells Fox 5 he will be in court on Monday. Well, Democrats are gearing up for their national convention kicking off in Chicago on Monday. During the first night, President Joe Biden will speak. Former Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton will speak Tuesday and Wednesday nights. Kamala Harris will address the convention Thursday night to accept the party's presidential nomination. Checking the forecast today, rainy weather this morning and later tonight. Tomorrow, temps in the 80s with showers possible later in the day. Swimming is prohibited at all beaches in Queens and Brooklyn this weekend. And as Fox 5's Richard Giacobas found out, not everyone is heeding the rip current warnings.
Along the shores of Coney Island, lifeguards did whatever they could to call a bunch of valiant swimmers back in. But most didn't want to listen.
What rip current? The same as yesterday's today, and the same tomorrow.
Due to potential life-threatening rip currents generated by Ernesto, New York City parks closing all beaches in Brooklyn and Queens today. But there were plenty of people ignoring the red flags and the whistles.
No swimming for me, man. I'm a rule-following guy. I follow the rules. They say no swimming, no swimming.
Ray Gonzalez came just to feel the breeze, but there was no way he was even getting his feet wet.
Can't trust the water, man. It's like a washing machine. It starts pulling you up, down, oh, and around.
Disappointing for the Manzano family and little Kayla, who loves to swim, but today was off limits.
She was really sad. We just stayed in the front and just enjoyed it.
The Parks Department has made the decision to close all beaches tomorrow as well, with officials still warning beachgoers not to venture into the water.
We're most concerned about public safety. We want people to be out. We want them to be enjoying our facilities, but we want them to do it safely.
And this is why it's so important to listen and not go into those waters. 2 men in Hilton Head, South Carolina, according to the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office, died on Friday after getting caught in rip currents. It is dangerous and treacherous. Now, the beaches here in New York City, again, closed on Sunday here in New York City, but out on Long Island, those beaches will stay open. They're just urging beachgoers to use precaution and have some common sense. We're on Coney Island. Richard Giacobas, Fox 5 News.
The NYPD says they busted a man who was impersonating an MTA worker. Investigators say the suspect had a forged ID and was wearing a uniform without proper authorization and training. He's also accused of boasting about what he was doing on social media while live streaming. In a statement, the MTA says, in part, impersonating a transit worker while entering restricted areas is a serious crime that can put real subway employees, the public, and emergency responders at risk. As COVID-19 rates spike across New York City this summer, a new clinic is up and running aimed at assisting communities still left recovering from the pandemic. The center is focusing on long COVID cases. Fox 5's Antoine Lewis has more on the work they're doing.
There are about 200 symptoms that have been attributed to long COVID.
To that end, Dr. Alex Fetterman helped launch the Mount Sinai Internal Medicine Associate Center, a new facility designed to study and treat patients with lingering symptoms of coronavirus or long COVID.
It got to the point where I needed to make a visit to the emergency room.
Dora Louise Summers was diagnosed with COVID in 2020, and yet she still suffers.
I was still having symptoms, the taste of food, feeling tired all the time, a lot of brain fog.
Summers is among the first patients to seek treatment at the Center for Long COVID, but the symptoms vary from patient to patient.
So for each patient, we go through and figure out what their most bothersome symptoms are, what imaging they've had, what testing they've done, all that stuff, and then together figure out what we can do using the tools we have within internal medicine to help address what those symptoms are.
The clinic is centrally located near the East Harlem, and South Bronx neighborhoods, areas that city officials say were hardest hit during the pandemic.
A lot of people go through life with long COVID without knowing that they have it, and without being able to access services to help support them.
A $5 million federal grant helped fund the clinic, which opened just as New York City is experiencing a spike in COVID and long COVID cases.
We'll see anyone who has long COVID. If they're not sure if they have long COVID, they're welcome to come in and we can put it together for them and see if that's what's going on.
In fact, all of the specialists a long COVID patient would need are under one roof. Should there be one who isn't, the center will connect you with that physician as well. Reporting from Harlem, Antoine Lewis, Fox 5 News.
A fire broke out at London's iconic Somerset House. More than 100 firefighters were at the scene trying to contain the flames. The museum houses priceless paintings by Monet, Cézanne, Van Gogh, and others. Thankfully, the London Fire Brigade says all staff as well as the works of art were safe. No word yet on what caused the blaze. National Grid is now the largest and latest utility company to raise the rates. New York State just approved price hikes that will impact millions of Long Island and New York City customers. Fox 5's Jody Goldberg has this report on how much more they'll be paying and how they're reacting to this news.
I'm a fixed income, a single person.
Donna Saladino says it's hard enough to pay the bills, and with an extra $33 tacked onto her monthly National Grid bill starting next month, it'll become even more difficult.
My paycheck doesn't go up $33 a month. It's not right.
She's among the millions of National Grid customers across New York State that'll be paying more for natural gas after the State Public Service Commission unanimously approved a 3-year rate hike.
$30 doesn't sound like a lot a month, but you take $30 here, $30 here, and it turns into a lot of money.
We pay enough as it is.
A bill for the average Long Island residential gas customer will increase $33.35 a month come September. In April of next year, it'll rise another $8.19 a month, followed by $18.81 a month by April of 2026.
It's got to be a stop to this.
And it's not just National Grid's prices that are going up. The State Public Service Commission approved a 3-year rate hike for Liberty Utilities customers. More than 120,000 ratepayers in Nassau County will see a $19 jump in their bills as early as next month, making it even more difficult to survive.
Every dollar that increases on New Yorkers is, another pathway for people to struggle.
Assemblymember Mikhail Solage is among local leaders and advocacy groups opposing these increases.
We should be making sure that it is as affordable as possible for New Yorkers.
National Grid was unavailable for an interview, but said in a statement, the company is proud of its commitment to advancing New York's clean energy transition, using all the tools available to reduce energy consumption and lower emissions. As for Saladino, she says it's hard to stay optimistic.
To me, it's move out of New York.
On Long Island, Jody Goldberg, Fox 5 News.
It's just a few weeks before the start of the new school year in the city, and the annual Flatbush Back to School Block Party was held in Brooklyn this weekend. Besides all the fun and activities, the block party is also a way to give kids, parents, and guardians the tools and information they need for the upcoming school year.
We want to make sure we're connecting guardians, parents, families with resources that they may not think is available. After school programs, daycare centers, anything that a parent would need in order to prepare their children for the upcoming school year. And then making sure that kids are aware of resources that they may not know that are available.
More than 1,000 backpacks filled with essential school supplies were also given away. The new public school year begins Thursday, September 5th in the city. You have a chance to actually own a piece of baseball history, but it will cost you. An iconic Babe Ruth jersey is expected to set a record at auction this month. The legendary Yankee wore the number 3 jersey during Game 3 of the 1932 World Series. That's where he famously pointed towards center field and called his shot, hitting the next pitch deep into the center field bleachers. The jersey could sell for $30 million. A final check of your forecast. Today, rainy weather this morning and later tonight. Tomorrow, temps in the 80s with showers possible later in the day. And that does it for us this morning. I'm Lisa Evers. Have a great day. Remember, Fox 5 News is always streaming here on the Fox Local app.